Are we on?
Not yet. There we go. All right, everybody, hang on just a second here. Cool. We're live, Nikki, and I'm going to minimize Facebook. Hang on just a second. Okay, everybody, this is Wanda Vitale, and I've got Phoenix Nichol Bacenko, otherwise known as Nikki. And hang on just a second here so we don't get feedback. There we go. There we go, Nikki. You know, I met Nikki last year in one of my programs that I call the Quantum Entrepreneur. You know, really what we're doing is we're realizing that that everything is possible, and that embodiment, you know, becoming a soul with a body is really about elevating our frequencies to live up in this, to live in the field of all possibilities. And that's what the quantum field is.
Yeah.
So that was my program, one of my programs, the Quantum Entrepreneur. Nikki, and we'd never met before, and she's somebody else that I would just adopt if I could. I love her so much. And she has a very different story and a very different journey than most of us. You know, most of us have been sound asleep and we think we're a human in a body and separate and struggle and fear. That's not Nikki's journey. So I just want you to share that, Nikki. And I have to say, before we get into this, she's one of the clearest souls on the planet that I know, like super clear in her gifts, in her abilities. And her ability to work with people is just off the charts because she goes right to the bottom. Like, you just see the energetics. I know other people that work the way you do. So it's just incredible. And it's been a real challenge for you to get to this place where you could even be with people and not be, right? And not,
10 years of mastery, 10 years before I was ready to actually speak up, because I knew the depths of everything I am experiencing. And while I was going through it, there seemed to be no one else. So I kind of knew I was laying the groundwork for something big, and have never been guided to step forward until now. And now it's just time. It's perfect and aligned, and everyone is ready to really shift out of that victim mentality into their true power.
So in order for you to get to this place, Nikki, tell everybody what it was like as a child. What was it like for you? You have quite a story.
Yeah, I remember being born. I remember thinking the minute I came through, like, it looked like a big bright green light, actually. And I remember thinking, I'm here. And then, like, here we go. And then the next real big thought I had was at 2 years old, and I was getting ready to go trick-or-treating with my grandpa in Newcastle, Nebraska. And I remember sitting on the curb in front of our house and thinking, like, nobody here knows what's going on. Like, it's just me. And realizing what that meant as far as, like, security and for a child feeling grounded and whatnot. And then just going, well, I get candy today, so I love Earth candy, you know? Like, that's kind of how I dealt with it as a kid. Like, you just one foot in front of the other. I always knew. I knew things would come out of nowhere. Always prepared and conscious and aware that people were not aware. They did not know what they were doing.
And did you have parents that supported your clarity and
No, no. My mom came from a Quaker background.
Mm.
My father's family was immigrants. So they divorced when I was 2. And, Quakers are very strict.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was really like, we discussed this now, and it's such a beautiful thing we've moved through. But like, when you've got a 2-year-old that stares at the sun and likes to, make fire move to their hands, and, they're always catching them doing stuff like this, it wasn't a good thing. It was not supported at all. It was like, you better stop all of this madness. So it was really heavily looked down upon in my family. It wasn't something they wanted me doing.
So then, I mean, you and I have talked a little bit about this. I mean, your mother, your mother is gifted as well, but your mother's closer to my age, right?
Yeah.
And nobody
Yeah.
talked about this then. We didn't have, when I was young, we didn't have mentors.
Well, my mom at 8 had a ET experience, and her family did not like that. And so she kind of had it beaten out of her. Do not talk like this. You don't talk like this ever. So then in turn, like we discussed now, she's like, I'm going to beat this out of Nikki too, because this is not going to be happening. This is not acceptable. So it was just that genetic lineage going down the line of similar experiences.
So in other words, just to call it like it is, what you experienced as a child, as a very young child with that great clarity, was emotional abuse. I mean, abuse.
Oh, abuse in every form. I witnessed, but the gift in that is I witnessed small increments versus large doses of things. Looking back now, I'm able to see the blessing in that. It was just small increments of very heavy experiences so that I could process it, but not have to fully dive into the whole lifetime of processing one epic experience. I would just get microdosed or macrodosed, however you want to say it. It was dosed that I could process later.
But that's, you say that now. I mean, I just want to make this point. A lot of people will bypass and make excuses for everything that happened to them to say, oh, well, it really wasn't that bad. And it wasn't this. I have to tell you, Nikki does not do that. And in a retrospect, it's really easy for us, for any of us who moved, I call it when we move out of the matrix, then everything becomes stunningly clear as to, why certain things happened and in the way that they happened. So I'm just letting everybody listening know that now this is how you see it. You see it from the mirror. You see it so clearly that it happened in small doses. But what was it like when you were living through it?
I didn't know any different. See, this is the interesting thing. It's like a child who has 2 parents versus a child that has 1. If you never had 2 parents, you don't know the difference and you don't experience the loss because it was never there to begin with. So my life was kind of like that anyway. I just thought everyone's life was like this. Like everyone had kidnapping attempts. Everyone, had people breaking in their house and experienced all these plethora of abuses and could hear voices and talk to God in their closet. Like I thought everyone was like that. And it wasn't until my 20s that I made some lifetime friends who are still my best friends that I realized like, hey, life isn't like this for everybody. Like this is different. And that's when I started processing that.
What were some of the gifts that you just inherently experienced that you just thought it were so normal when you were little?
Well, I've always been multidimensional. Yeah. Well, I mean, as a child, I didn't think it was a gift. I thought it sucked. Like I would see things in many dimensions happening in this now space, which some could be very horrific because I had the ability to go to the darkest dark and the lightest light. So I wasn't consciously aware of the sliding on that scale and the environment I was put in, how it affected that. So I was like terrorized by what I was seeing in other dimensions, because my own reality was growing up in a gang neighborhood and shootings and helicopters. And, you know, at 7, I found a head in the toilet at the park. And that was like, but that was normal for me. This was my experience thus far in life.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you can imagine the vibration that was going on around me when I was being exposed to such terrifying events at such young ages.
And tell us all how, I mean, I know at some point you were diagnosed as bipolar, correct?
Yeah.
Just
it was a string of diagnoses. It started as a child with anxiety, ADD, and by 15, when puberty hit, my empathic abilities were so strong. I could just hear everyone, you know, middle school children have lots of thoughts. And so I was bombarded in middle school with just these awful thoughts and became suicidal. So from starting at about 8, I started experiencing suicidal ideation, and experienced that up until probably my reemergence after my dad died. Things had gotten so. At 15 is when my mom took me to the hospital and actually said, if you don't straighten yourself out, behave normal, then I'm leaving you here and you need to figure this out. So right then I decided, okay, I'm just going to be like everybody else. And I just mimicked everybody else and did what everyone else did. So just fit in and not get in trouble. Like, I didn't want to get in any more trouble. I'd already had enough.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Nikki, that's just a lot. I mean, so you basically had to go through
that. Was a major depressive disorder diagnosis at that time. So that was the first major diagnosis I received at that point. And that was when I was 15.
And then, gosh, what about, and then the drugs, right? I mean,
yeah.
Then they put you, and then you were put on medication. That
was after my dad's death. No, but I had already, like, throughout my 20s, did the whole, you know, Prozac Nation thing. Everybody was on Prozac in the 90s, you know. So I did the whole Prozac thing, and the wonderful thing about that was when I was on Prozac is that I experienced like a weightlessness. The heavy weight seemed to come off. And so at that point, the way my brain worked was, if I can do it with this pill, then I should be able to do it without this pill. So I was already like formulating. Plus, at 15 is when I did decide to go back in the system. I also decided to have a major eating disorder for 20 years. So that the exact same time, those two lined up. The Prozac and all that stuff kind of helped. And then the big drugs came with the bipolar diagnosis. That's when the heavy guns came out.
And, you know, would you say, I mean, now in retrospect, gosh, you know, in retrospect, everything, as we said, everything makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Absolutely.
think that, do you think the diagnosis of being bipolar is really just because you're so clear and see and hear?
Well, I think it's self-love. I think I needed to learn to love myself and respect myself enough to take care of myself. And I was always kind of like a little tugboat getting blown around by big waves in the ocean, but I could go, but I got blown around a lot. And the bipolar diagnosis was one of the biggest keys for me to figure out, because I rejected it and rejected it and rejected it and got sicker and sicker, and it just got worse and worse because I couldn't come to terms with why I was having this experience, when the whole thing was something that had been my entire life of mental illness, as I'd been told what was wrong with me. So looking back, I just see it as so perfect, because once I said, I don't care what the diagnosis is, I really just care about me and living the best life that I came here to be, and really anchoring into my divine purpose. And that's not rejecting any, I don't care. It's a diagnosis. There's so many diagnoses out there. What's important is from the diagnosis, I learned to take care of myself, and I learned to ground myself, and I learned to be a better parent, and I've learned to step forward in my purpose because of that diagnosis. So I'm so grateful for it. But many are still looking at it like it's a horrible thing. And it's such a wonderful opportunity to move forward and shift the perception around mental illness to the reality is many of us are just here now, completely awake, living our purpose and standing and shining and being the I am that we're meant to be.
That's just beautiful. And that's, certainly the whole point of my work with people is to, you did it the crash course way, right? In that way. And that's why I really want people to know who you are, because most of us go from believing that we're some human with, and I was thinking this morning how horribly self-judgmental we are. I mean, we're just so critical of ourselves, right? And then
especially with parents, I want to say this is, as a parent, I watched my mom and I realized as an adult, a lot of my stories mimicked the same stories I observed in my own mother. And I realized how that works with children. So with everything, I really took the opportunity to look at how my kids see and witness me and be the example, because they're the future. So the reflection we present to our children and everyone around us is actually the most important thing. We can say anything we want, but what we're showing and living is the real truth.
And that's true if we have if we have children or not. That is really, I'm just saying that because, I would say the same thing of me.
Yeah.
The highest thing that we can do, highest meaning most meaningful and most powerful thing that we can do in the world is to really walk our talk and be those qualities. I often ask people who aren't as aware as you are, right? That I ask, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want your legacy to be? And you all have known that because your life has really forced you into this very narrow path, narrow path. And I think it's so good for more people to hear. We've got more people coming on here. Amber Cornwall said, we can say anything, but it's what we live and do that matters. Absolutely. And that's our work.
Yeah, you're your living testimony. You're the testimony of the work that you've done. And in that, what I've come to find out is a lot of people can tell me what to say and what to do and how to behave, but only I know what is best for me. In my experience, in my perception, as a parent, as a child born awake and with the hypersensory and the ability to see and feel and hear things that other people can't, as a voice for a whole generation and more of people. And that's why I've chose to step forward, because there was no one for me to look up to. I didn't know what to do. I just kept saying, if I just keep putting one foot in front of the other, this is all going to make sense someday. It has never made any sense to me. I just keep doing it, and I follow my truth, like my glyphs. I've been doing those since as long as I could hold a pencil. I know they're my inherent truth. I know they're powerful. I know what I do is powerful. And that's why I'm here now, to be the example and be the change and show people what is possible, no matter what your story is.
Because I just love hearing this. Every cell in my body is zinging right now, Nikki, because this is the one thing that before I die, I would love for everybody to lock this in.
Yeah.
No matter what our lives might have looked like, and no matter what choices we believe we have made, they have really led us down a path, and it's been absolutely perfect in every moment. And especially what I see now is that you and so many amazing people are here to lead the way. I don't know that I like the word way showers because it's so individual,
I
right?
feel like it's more like lighthouses. We're lighthouses for people who resonate with our light. Everyone has a unique light. We all carry unique frequencies. We're all unique fractals, and there's so many amazing humans on this planet. And by having so many lighthouses and way showers, I will say that it gives the opportunity for so many people to have someone guide them and show them that they are supported and they are loved. Because what the biggest thing I figured out is I am completely supported in everything I do, because I am the I am. I am creating this experience. This is my beautiful, wonderful experience to have, to create, and to be. And all those lessons of so many wonderful things I've been through, which, as you know, I'll be sharing more in the course I'm creating in the books. But all those wonderful lessons and experiences gave me the mastery to be here now and carry the energetics to work with others experiencing these similar type trauma triggers, implants, genetics, codes, whatever you want to call them, so that they can go through this much smoother and have that support versus trying to figure out, am I on the freeway or am I getting off at the wrong exit, and how do I get back on?
Right.
Yeah.
What are some of the, why don't you let everybody know about some of the courses, just how you work, really?
Um,
And everything's on your Facebook page, and I'll post
yeah.
that.
On my Conscious Creator page, everything is there that I have going on currently right now. I'm working on creating a master frequency course. I believe everything is a code, like a frequency code. And so for me, like bipolar, I consider that polarity mastery. I can go to the highest high and the lowest low, and I could find the center, which is where we're meant to be at all times, just centered and grounded. Too much high is going to bring you to too much low. You cannot, it has to be right here. So that's a polarity mastery code. Eating disorders, bulimia, anorexia, self-loathing, child abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, gang warfare, rape, molestation. I know a lot of these are very heavy, but like I said, I've been microdosed with a lot of different experiences, and therefore those codes now, through my mastery, I'm carrying the ability to work with others in a very beautiful way. So that's just an example of some of the wonderful things. Near-death experiences. I flipped my car off the side of a cliff. I mean, there's just a plethora of them I can get into, but I think those are the biggies that people really wonder, like, what has she been through? I've been through a lot. I've mental hospitalizations, 7 kidnapping attempts. I was a child model. I was gang victimized. I got jumped by some girl gang members in school. A girl tried to run me down with a car, chased. So these are just, a lot of the interesting things that have happened in my life that people probably don't expect to hear.
And and it's so perfect now, especially since we're in this phase of awakening, or some people will wake up, other people will embody. I'm here for the embodiment to,
Yeah.
I don't even have words for it, but embodiment.
Embodiment, yeah.
Yeah, where the body actually changes. And in order for that to happen on a larger scale, all of those topics, all of those, I see them as clusters of energy, clusters of distortion, right? Every topic that you just mentioned, all of those have to be collapsed.
Yep.
All of them. We have
completely dissolved. Yeah.
completely dissolved. And how do we dissolve them? We go into them. Just what you said, we go into them. Whatever is up for us, whether it's some...
And the
what
amazing thing is
looking
getting
at
excited about diving into them. When you can get excited, like you witnessed the other day with me, I experienced something that I was shocked by, and I was just like crying because it was such a core wound. But I'm like, thank you, thank you. I've taught myself to get excited by the opportunity to clear things like that. It turns into such a joyful blessing.
And that is really where we get to at some point, where when we stop, you know, you're just such a beautiful, like, living, breathing example of this.
I'm so happy to be alive. Yeah.
Yeah, that we get to the point when you understand how this works, when you understand the bigger picture of what's going on, then when something happens that triggers you, whether it's whatever it is. Yeah, I made Nikki cry for 3 days.
It was wonderful. It was so wonderful.
Yeah, you know, when we hit those places, we just got to let him go. But that's how it works.
Yeah.
Dive into them. You look at the things that other people might judge as wrong, and then you can look at it like, holy moly, this is my superpower.
Yeah.
You know, I personally, that's been, again, my goal with people is to look at their lives as training. For everybody listening, you're developing your superpowers, and you've become subject matter experts in things, in a topic, right? Yeah. And that's very true with Nikki. So she's just so clear. Tell us about your work. I believe you're going to put a group together for parents.
Yeah. Wait, a group for the parents or the visionary group?
Well, I know that you planned on doing both.
Yeah, I have things coming up. I'm in the theme of staying organized, kind of listing it and creating a mood calendar to make sure I'm accessing everything in divine alignment as I move through my days. But the ones currently coming up on February 1st, I'm launching my 2020 Vision Mastery group. That is a divine inspiration group. It's to inspire people into their divine purposes. I know a lot of people out there like to speak light language. They feel guided to work in light language, light weaving, you know, and writing the glyphs, doing master codes. So that group is basically to be an inspirational conduit, catalyst for a small container of people ready to step up into the next level. And I know I resonate with artists. Artists is definitely a place I work in, but it is open to anybody who wants to dive into that. But I do plan on having some other groups, parenting groups, as I'm a parent to 3 children in 3 different age ranges, 22, 15, and 3. So I have a little bit of mastery going on there. And I plan on bringing that out too, as well as the 2 books and my mastery course, but one thing at a time.
One thing at a time. Your art, your glyphs
they're evolving. They are.
Oh gosh, they're just they're power-packed transmissions that are right to the field, right to your field. And
when you revisit them, like you can go a couple weeks without looking at it, and when you revisit it, it's got a whole new frequency attunement for you. They're just unbelievably amazing, and they're getting even more amazing as we move through these beautiful new energies.
I'm just looking at our time here. What else haven't I asked that? What do you want people to know about you? Like, here's what I would like to know. So I must be channeling this. How do you work with people? Like, some people see energy fields and make changes. Nikki,
that's the interesting thing about me is I think, and then I say this because I do think this is a new thing that's coming forward as to how my being works, is I mimic everything. So I can pick up any trait I wish to have. And you could say I reach out into the quantum field and grab that, but since I was a child, I could see energy templates. Everything is energetics. And for me, when I do my work, I will go into the space, and it's like there's a light keyboard or control panel, and I just move the energy within somebody. I see their synergetics. So that's one way I work. I'm also an intuitive guide, a divine inspiration guide, a parenting guide. Whatever I choose to work in, I just align to it. I know many channel, and I don't consider that channeling because of the integration of the higher self. So I do bring forth messages for those ready to experience their true and highest self within the voice of I am through me. So, you know, just a little bit of, before going too much into that, but yeah, I do, I guess, speak light language, light codes, gosh, you name it. I could get into anything. I do light weaving and dancing. I do intuitive dancing. Usually that is a personal experience when I'm going through an integration, because as we are integrating to move our bodies and get that energy moving within, just creates such a beautiful synergy and oneness, especially with everything we're doing right now.
I have to say that while many of us wondered, really, again, I'll say this again, what am I here to do? What is that one thing? Nikki's challenge, is, since I've known her, has been to narrow it down. Has just been to narrow it down, right? Because, and that's actually
The focus.
The focus. What I see is that you're, and I'm sure many people who are listening to this, or who will listen to this, are in the same place.
Yeah.
Because you've come in with so much clarity and so many gifts.
Yep.
That the challenge is to kind of swirl that around into your own unique stream or focus or field, to be able to say, this is it. You know, this is what happens when you work with me, right?
Yeah, get really clear, because when we were in the Quantum Entrepreneur, I remember you asked the question, what do you really want? And like, people, my ego is an amazing tool. I love my ego. And when my ego is doing stuff, that means there's something for me to look at. And when we had that question, is what do I really want? I realized that a lot of the things I wanted were ego-based. I really wanted was just to be happy with my family and do my art and affect people in a positive, beautiful way. Like, all the other stuff will come as it's meant to come. But what I really wanted was just that happiness and that peace and that divine flow of just being in the now every moment. Like, everything else, when you're like, I want this, I want this, I want that, I want that, is to distract you from what is really your internal GPA navigational system to your I am. Because in that state, you create all the beautiful things that you're inherently here to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. I mean, you're just such a beautiful example of when we get when we get the mental loops, the mental interference out of the way, then everything else just falls into place.
Yeah.
We need to learn what to do to the mind.
And literally for me, like, up until, as you know, like the middle of December, my job dissolved. It just dissolved. And my first thought was, oh, it's time. It really is time, because now I have no distractions. I have no excuses, because I always made the excuse, my job, my job, my job. So literally I woke up, ironically, a year ago on New Year's Eve, a blue avian, I don't get into the galactic stuff, but a blue avian showed up in my house. And that was just a unique experience. And then exactly a year later, I woke up and I heard him telepathically let me know, it's time. January 1st, I woke up and I was just ready. And then I think I contacted you and I said, hey, guess what? My job fell away. It's time. I just knew it was time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beauty of everything. You know, the energies, when they move, they move. And when you're ready, you're ready. And I always like to reference like this point, you know, and I know it's biblical, but I don't get biblical. But this one story is always have your lamp full. Always have the oil in your lamp. Be prepared. At any minute, anything can happen. But if you live your life and being the example of all you wish to see, you're always prepared and you're always ready.
Beautiful, Nikki, because I would say the same thing. You know, a lot of people are, I hear this a lot. They think they're doing something wrong. It's not moving fast enough. My spiritual practice should be farther along, and on and on. And really, you know, we are like alarm clocks that are set to go off.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I mean, I feel so differently about a lot of things now than I did even 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I believe, as you do, that we start from where we are. We do the best, you know, we walk our talk as best we can and look at life as opportunities for course correction. Oh, I'm not walking my talk here.
Yeah.
And right. And then we just keep doing that. And then knowing that everything is perfectly orchestrated. And then when it's time, your job fell away and you didn't go into fear about it. Right. You went.
Yeah, and you know, they didn't pay me. And it just like, it was so funny, but I was like in that state of always being prepared, because I realized in the past, I was never prepared for anything and I would get knocked over by these tidal waves.
Mm-hmm.
With a strong foundation, you're kind of ready for anything, and you know everything will work out just fine because you're creating it. And this month has been a true journey in that. I've actually walked my talk so many times this month that I've just gotten comfortable with it so much. Like, okay, well, this is the new now. This is the new me, and this is how it's going to be now. And this is what I claim. This is what I expect, and this is what I create. You know, and with that divine flow, of course, you know how things work. I'm not saying things aren't going to come up. I'm just going to say when they do come up, like your son in an emergency ready to like kill himself, you're ready. I'm going, hey, let's handle this in the way that we know how to handle this. And it turns into a very beautiful divine interaction that just teaches both of you a beautiful lesson. And that's everything in life. Every opportunity is a chance to grow and evolve.
It is. It is. That's beautiful. Oh, so beautiful. Your Facebook page is what, Nikki? How can people find out more about you?
Conscious Creator is my business page, and then I work off my Phoenix Nichol Bacenko page as well. But you can find all my services and contact me through Conscious Creator on Facebook. And that's where I'm at right now. I mean, I do have my website, but that's kind of in the works. I keep getting like bumped back on that one, so I'm not pushing against it. We're just kind of flowing with that. And it's on the list. It's always good to have those lists.
It is. And you have a 3-year-old.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you have two.
She's going through the energetics of right now. So she's talking all night light language. And then I have a dog who shares the bed as well. And everybody likes to, connect. But Tiger Lily's going through some really interesting stuff right now too, as well as Talon. All my kids are. The energy is just shifting everyone in remarkable, remarkable ways.
And it keeps you hopping.
Yeah, I'm always hopping. I'm always moving. And that's where a lot of my mastery came from was after I had Tiger Lily, I had to either choose to just be completely submerged in mommy land, which I was, because, you know, I was with her the whole time. But I've learned to tune out and tune in and be able to do my art and my glyphs. And she's a part of, like, when I'm doing light language, she does light language and she does her dancing. And this is just, you know, we paint and just a beautiful life. I'm very blessed and grateful for the life I live and the work I did to get here.
Yes. Yes, you did a lot of work to get here.
Yes.
I think one of the biggest challenges, is it the biggest? I think one of the biggest challenges for anybody to go out in public like this is, you know, to really come to terms with this vulnerability. And, you know, so the more we've been, I don't know if this is a good word, but the more we've been victimized and judged and said that we're crazy and
Suppressed.
Suppressed, yeah. Suppressed and shamed. You know, that's the other part of it. It's one thing to be suppressed, but then...
And we've done it all to ourselves. We've done this all to ourselves.
Exactly, exactly. However, when we're in it, if somebody's in it, they don't know that they're doing it to themselves. The effort, the consistent effort that it takes to be in front of people and bare your soul. Last summer, you would have been a heap of tears.
Yeah, exactly. This is one of the things that I literally my entire life took an F in class for. Like, nope, you're not getting me to stand up. I don't want anyone to look at me. I was the wallflower in the corner. Don't pay attention to me. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm saying that because if anybody's listening who's thinking, well, you know, I couldn't do this.
Yeah.
Or thinking, Nikki, that this comes very naturally to you. Yeah. And that you've always been this cool, calm, and collected. I'm here to tell you she hasn't. I mean, I have listened to her cry so many times. So this is, you know.
It took a lot of dissolving the layers of the fear and the implants and the telling me I'm wrong about everything to really like say, you know, I don't care if I'm wrong. I'm still just going to speak my truth. But it took a lot of dissolving and stepping outside away from the story and seeing, like you said, the mastery. It was a school of mastery. My entire life has been a beautiful school of mastery. And that's what you helped me put together finally when we came together, when I told you I was guided to find somebody and you popped up. So it was just so divinely aligned in the flow like we speak about.
Yeah, and so it is, and it always is, and now we know that. And for somebody listening who might be saying, yes, but my life is in shambles right now, and yes, but my past is so sordid that I could never talk about it. Nikki and I are here to remind you that it's your gift. It really is true that your wound is your gift, because you're here to help everybody else with that wound, with that.
It's why we're here. It's why we're here. It's what we're here to do. And that's why it seems so scary, because that's your power. That's your superpower. That is what you came here to do, is to let other people know you're not alone. Just knowing you're not alone is such a powerful thing, to hear someone else who's experienced something similar to you. That's just beautiful. And imagine how many people out there stepping forward, their lives they can change just by showing their light. I mean, others know they're not alone either.
No, I really believe that one of your big things will be your program for parents with children.
Yeah.
Because you live it. I listen to you. You and I talk quite often. I know what it's like to have the Tiger, your 3-year-old. And how old is your middle son? 7 or 9?
He's 15.
Oh, 15.
Right in the middle of puberty, and he's the most awake. Like, that kid is. We're, you know, doing a whole school system reboot there with his IEP, like, on him, because he's nothing. They call it secondary exceptional, I believe, where we can be asked questions and give you the answers, but we can't tell you how we have the answers. So in schools, they're discovering there's a unique small group of people like this, and they're figuring out how to make platforms for them. So we're working on doing that for Talon. And Tiger Lily, she's just because we homeschool, she's already like first, second grade level. She's just moving through everything so fast because it's so much fun. Every cooking experience is a chance to learn to count or learn to do something. And so with the parenting stuff, I definitely will be bringing that forward because I know parents get frustrated. It's hard when you don't get a lot of time. Trust me, I've been with my daughter for 3 years straight almost because it's part of this journey of figuring things out for me. And when we can step back from the way we feel in that me, and see what a child is experiencing and give them just, for example, the other night she woke up scared. She was seeing things. And I lived my entire childhood multidimensional, seeing things at night, you know, and I knew what she was doing because she kept looking around. So I grabbed her and I hugged her and I said, "You are so supported. You are so safe. You are so protected. You are so loved. You are so honored. I'm so blessed that you chose me to be your mother." She hugged me, turned over, and went to sleep. She just needed to know she's taken care of. She's okay. She's supported here now. And if parents can step into that role model instead of going into disciplining and you need to do this and you have to do this, because that's the old way. Mm-hmm. And speaking to a child going, if we do it like this is what happens, and letting them know what the experiences are. These children will work with you. They're amazing. They'll create, they'll build. That anger will subside and dissolve into excitement to learn and evolve and grow and be led by a parent that is gentle and loving and supportive.
Love it. Nikki, you're just amazing. So
thank you.
I will, when we, after the video post, I'll put your Facebook page on there and you can also send her a message. I just can't say enough good things about her. And, you know, she's cut short her stories about her past. It was just horrendous. I can tell you that. I just can't even imagine what it would be like to have to feel like I'd landed on a planet and you saw through and I kind of feel that way now, actually, where, you know, you look around. I was a little child and not an understanding that don't they realize what's going on? And then sadly realizing, no, they don't.
No.
Right? So it would be like in some of the past life or timeline integrations I've seen, it's like landing, like being deserted on a planet and there's nobody else there.
I felt like I was the only little alien on the planet. That's really what I felt like the only person like me on the planet. It was very isolating and lonely, very lonely, you know, and I still, you know, as I move forward and come out more with things, you know, there are times that I feel lonely, but I took that loneliness into really learning to love myself to where now, you know, when I'm having a Friday night dance party by myself, I'm like, woo, nobody else is having fun like I am, you know, so.
And this is how you find other people, because I know I know that other people relate to this. Amber Cornwall just wrote, now I know why I'm watching also. Totally hear from my 1-year-old son and to shift the educational paradigm for him. When I had my sudden awakening, I heard Earth School. Love this. Yeah.
Yes. It's changing. These are obsolete, archaic systems that didn't work for me, didn't work for my oldest son, didn't work for my brother. We don't fit into any type of like box because there is no box. So with me and my 15-year-old, he's been in this system, the public school system, since he was a child with an IEP. Right away, they're like, oh, something's definitely wrong with this kid, because he's like, I need a quiet break. Let's go to the library and read books, and he'd disappear. So he had his own like thing going on. So working within that system has been a part of my reality now, because my oldest son had an auditory processing disorder for so long that I walk into these meetings now like, what are we going to do to change the world here? This needs to change. My son's not stupid. You guys know he's not stupid. He has excellent attendance. He doesn't want to do your robot work. talk to him. He'll tell you how smart he is. So now they're just talking to him and giving him grades based on what he says. You know, it's gotta shift. It's gotta change, you know. It just is what it is.
And I know other parents, I have clients with children like this, and there's a huge need for this in the world. So, you know, I hope all of you find each other, and because you are, and you will, because you're speaking up. Yeah. You are the, Vera, you are the people that are changing the world. Vera Ingborg just wrote Ascended Empowered Misfits.
Yeah, right?
I love that, Vera.
Yeah, that's perfect. Is
perfect.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've kind of rambled this morning. We've gone in and out of different topics. I think that's it, right? I just want you to reach out to Nikki, because she's so powerful and she's so gifted, as you have heard and feel. And the glyphs and that she does are so powerful. You'll see some of those on my website when I get those uploaded. And I think that's it. Is there anything else that you want to say, Nikki?
No, I think that's it for today. I mean, we brought forward everything that I was guided to bring forward and connect with everybody and keep moving forward as we do. Forward. I keep hearing that. So it's just that momentum we are now moving into in this now time space. And I'm looking forward to everyone coming together and creating the things in which we all know we're here to create.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Thank you, Wanda.
Oh, thank you. Let me just see if there's any other messages. Krista Boss said, such integral integration for these little ones still coming in. Support rather than a fear knee-jerk reaction. Such a necessary, beautiful progression being offered here. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, great. Well,
and maybe I think I just want to say that, you know, maybe Nikki and I will think about this again. She's really got so many things planned where you'll be seeing more, but I'd love to.
There's a lot of different topics I want to dive into deeper with people and different things based on, as you know, we move through these energies, what comes up. And
that's what I'd love to do, because I don't know how, well, I'll ask you how you see it. I see this window that we're in right now is where, of course, it depends on where everybody is individually.
Mm-hmm.
I see the physical embodiment part kind of taking a new twist, right? Yeah. Like, oh, I'm not going to leave this body behind this time when I die. I'm taking it with me. So there's some, I would just call it imprinting that's happening with the physical body that a lot of us are we're working with. I'm also hearing from some people that they're starting, the numbness is over, right? What they thought they were doing, not doing it.
Yeah.
You go numb, and as we integrate this new energetic, and then there's some excitement coming back and some direction. So I'm hearing that as well. What's your take on what's happening?
Well, I feel like so in January alone, I've gone through 3 death phases, which, you know, for me, that's kind of something I'm used to, but these have been pretty big, heavy death phases that have brought me to my knees and had me crying for a couple days, you know. But as we go through each of those dissolving, collapsing of timelines, as we go through those, more and more is able to come through in clarity, therefore bringing in such a balanced frequency template and such a strong foundation now with these beings that have now reached a level of ascension to where they are anchoring in that foundation and bringing forth everything else. So we're just dropping it down into this time frame, and we're moving that rapidly. So, you know, in 2 weeks from now, I know it's going to be something else that is coming through. But right now, I literally, even in the cloud formations, am seeing the dropping the dropping in as things dissolve up, like evaporation. So things evaporate up and then the rain comes down. So the abundance is now flowing within each and every one of us. I am that I am.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. We're really going to end this and we'll be back.
All
Thank
right.
everybody for listening. Thank you. Bye.